Hi, Zelina. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Hi, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, Zelina and I were just talking about the fact that I'm excited to have a different. I like it when we do different types of episodes. This one is one in which we're going to talk about mental health, which I'm not sure if we've actually focused on. I would say in half of our episodes, we might touch on it, but I'm touching on it with somebody who is a beauty professional in the industry or something like that. We're not touching on it with a professional mental health coach, expert, specialist. You're gonna give us your designations, but but you are not a hairstylist. However, you have been spending time helping with mental health within the beauty industry. You
Yes.
are an LCSW, which is licensed clinical social worker,
Hmm.
MSW, which is a master of social work, and
Hmm.
a licensed therapist.
Yes.
And you discuss the mental health challenges specifically within the beauty industry. Is that right?
Yes, Eric. Oh my goodness. I thank you for that beautiful introduction. And
Thank
I
you.
thank you for just helping me break the barriers in discussing a topic that's often minimized, especially
Mhm.
that's very important for the beauty industry and how it's really very important the fact that we're having this discussion for the people that make us look beautiful. And I'm just
100%.
happy to be here as a therapist.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. Happy to have you on. So I'm going to throw it to you. Well, actually, why don't I do this? Why did you start, why did you choose originally to become a licensed therapist and to focus on mental health?
Oh, goodness. That's a great question. Several different factors. One, my mother was a therapist. She's deceased, but growing up with a mother as a mental health therapist, it's literally, I don't know, a double headed sword. My gosh. You knew about therapy before you probably even, I knew my name in terms of mental health, and how the world works. And I do dearly appreciate the fact that that was a pivotal aspect of our lives. You know, we got to see the side of the world that people normally would not see, and her aspect of looking at the world from what it was, and how we got to appreciate the aspect of humanity. And her philosophy was is that treat people kind. You know, we never know exactly what people are going through, and we were raised as there. People have issues and we have issues, and we don't know what life is going to throw at us, and we just treat people with fairness, and I thank her for that. So that's one. And then number two was is that I've always been a why girl. I used to drive my mother crazy with why. Well, why, mom? Or why? It would drive her nuts. I wanted to know why. Why was the sky blue? Why was this? So the inquisitive mind, you know, the challenging aspect of why. And that is a great niche for trying to solve problems, especially within society when we're looking at social aspects. And that drove the driving force of society challenges. What can we do
Mhm.
to make this world a better place? And I kind of found my niche in, I guess, all of my friends coming to me with my problems. And I would run home and be like, well, mom, someone's going through this. And she's like, I think you have the itch. I think you
Mm.
have the itch. My sister played with Barbie dolls, and I would be like, well, you know, let me help your Barbie doll solve their problems. Like, what problems? You know, I was always the thinker or whatever. So as I, you know, grew older to understand the world and having that foundation, and with lifing, and then losing my mom at an early age with cancer, I
Mm.
understood that, you know, this is a real thing called life. It's not fantasy, and that we have to be able to adapt. And I wish it was, you know, it was rose glasses and fairy tales
Mm.
and powdered donuts, but it's not. And you have to be able to deal with life and handle it the best way you can. So those are some of the driving factors that,
Okay, I
yeah,
love that. And what an interesting way to grow up.
yeah,
So, I mean, such a foundation of empathy. And I'm sure she gave you so many answers to questions that probably most kids don't get answered ever when
yeah,
it comes to things like relationships with friends, your girlfriends or whatever, and grammar school, and you get in a fight with your best friend, or this weird thing happens over there, and your mom has a good answer for that, and like what a great foundation to have. So super cool. All right, now why the beauty industry?
Oh, interesting. So you would say, even though mom was a therapist, she had 3 girls, she really didn't have time to do our hair. It's crazy. She dreaded doing our hair. 3 daughters. My God.
That's a lot of time.
Exactly. And her being an entrepreneur, having her own business, her own therapy practice, she just didn't have time to do it. So when she did have time to do it, it was a pain. And I was always tender-headed. Out of all of my sisters, I would cry. It was just horrible. I was like, oh my God, I just don't want anyone to touch my hair. So we would always have a struggle. And I would often go to the beauty salon when she could afford it. And she was like, look, you're going to go. And I would remember being in the salon at a young age. And it would be sitting in the salon and having these moments where people are in the chair and the salon, the stylist is listening to each client's life. And it was like this rapport. Oh, how's your child? Or how's such and such doing? Each client. And it's at a young age. So as I, begin to progress, as an adult, I have my own stylist. Now, mind you, I'm an adult and I'm in the public eye and my hair needs to be done, right? What am I going to do? In corporate America, I can't even do a French braid. My God. So I have a stylist. And now it's my turn to sit in the chair as an adult. And she has her own clients. And what happened is that it reminded me of those times of being a child. And I've been with my stylist for over 10 years, probably 10 plus years. And over the years, I have provided her the space to vent to me, because often she's the one that's often hearing with her clients.
Of course.
And no one's never asking her, well, how are you today?
Right.
And over the years, I'm sitting in her chair like, well, how are you? Are you okay? And I've seen what it has mentally taken the toll over her life, over the 10-year span. Yeah. And I allow her to have this rant-free therapy session for about 2 hours while we're washing hair. I'm giving advice. And I remember it was one time, it was just a pivotal moment where it was like a breakdown. It was a moment she had to stop. Wow. Her son had a moment at school. The teacher was calling, and it was the teacher had called, the principal had called. And I remember sitting in her chair, and I saw the situation, and I said, listen, put me on speakerphone. And we took care of that matter. Yes, we did.
You did? What'd you say? What? Tell us more details.
I said to her, by profession, I said, I am going to advocate. I can't do by license, but I do know information that you can send her son and refer her and her son to a program that would get him the testing that he needs. Now, at this time, I would like you to send him to the school therapist, because I know they have one on campus, and allow them to do so. And my God, it was dead silence for about 15 minutes. We come back to the phone, and it's about I hear about 5 people in the office. Oh. The therapist comes into the office and says, who is that on the phone talking to you? Wow, the parent. And does she has authority to talk? Oh, yeah, you know those calls.
Authority,
you know that.
Yes, yeah, we are the school. We know everything.
Yeah.
We have control of your child.
And I'm telling her, I said, give them permission, give them permission, give them permission. So she gives me permission to speak. And I said, that information is confidential. I said, but she's given me permission to speak. I said, I don't have to give you that information. But by law, I do know that at this point, there's a therapist on campus, and she has an ethical obligation to make the appropriate referral, and please do and adhere to this student so that he doesn't fall through the cracks, and make sure that the referral is taken care of at this time. And by the end of the day, we had a phone call and the referral was taken care of. When they were trying to literally say that the child was a problematic child and expel the child, when literally I know, listening to the conversation, he probably needed to just have the evaluation because he was advanced. He needed to probably be more challenged, gifted classes. But the problem is that someone wasn't doing their job. So I saw the stylist become overwhelmed, which was my friend at this point over 10 years. And I'm like, no, put the hot comb down, stop braiding my hair. Let me take over the call.
Right, because she's going to burn you.
Yes, she's flustered.
It was almost self-defense.
And she's in my head. I'm like, no. And I guess that's a part of the field, you know? And at that moment, we're not doing therapy. It's just advocating for a friend. It has nothing to do with what I have in terms of what I've gone to school for. And it made me think, like, my God, these people, human beings, are therapists and they don't even know it. People are trauma dumping on these professionals.
Oh, 100%.
And no one's ever taught you in school. There's not in your curriculum. No one's taught you about how to protect your boundaries. And then you're the bad guy at the end of the day. And you have your own families, you have your own life, and you go home. And the crazy part about it, Eric, no one teaches you how to bill for this. You can't bill for this.
I know. We've had these conversations where we talk about the conditions that hairdressers work under from an emotional standpoint.
Yes.
Where the clients come in and they're paying to get a service done, but then they sit there and they use the time and they use the hairdresser's attention to unload their emotional baggage. Yes. And of course, different people are going to react to this differently, but I imagine that it's a very common reaction to be overwhelmed emotionally, even if maybe you're not overwhelmed in the moment. But I think, as you referred to, driving home from a long day, and let's say three clients sat in your chair with very heavy topics of conversation, and those are in your mind. You're thinking about those.
Yes, and that was my driving force. And just over the years, I was just like, wait a minute. As therapists, we're taught how to protect our boundaries. This is a part of our curriculum. We're literally taught in therapy in terms of our modalities when we're going through school. And I said, wait a minute, let me come up with some type of guide that I can teach them to how to have this invisible bubble to where they can use to protect, because you want to be able to make a livelihood and you want to be able to build a rapport. That's what therapy is all about. We want to be able to build a rapport. That rapport word. And you want to be empathetic, because most of your job, you think it's mixing colors together, which it is. And the best colorologist there is, because listen, I can't do it. I don't know the colors of the rainbow. I wish I did. How y'all make these, orange and whites. And it's really magic. My God. And I top my hat to you all. It's just not my calling. Spirit and universe didn't have that for me to do. He told you to do that. And to do all of that, and then also be in a space mentally to hear all of the rest of the things that goes along with it. That's a heavy job. And I just said this recently. We look at L'Oreal did a study, and I put this in the actual guide. L'Oreal did a recent study, the hair products that we all use in our home, and it talked to 1,200 stylists, and it said over 50% were depressed and overwhelmed due to the impact of the emotional stress related to the field of performing services for their clients.
Wow.
That's insane.
That's insane, but yet not surprising. All right, so you're talking to a few thousand hairstylists now on the pod. So, what are your key what is your key advice?
The key advice is one of the things that I wrote down in the book, and I want you to have a free copy. I think I have it like for $6, but I just want to give it away. It's like 154 pages. And I talk about everything.
I'm sorry, before we go on, because I don't want to forget. So where does someone get the book?
Oh, I have it on my website, and the name of it is Mind Your Business. And it says and I think you can pull it up. It says, your mental health is costing you money, clients, and more. And it's a guide for beauty professionals, basically to keep their mental health in check so that they can continue to be great beauty professionals.
Absolutely. And what's the website?
It is www.healingexperiencenow.com.
healingexperiencenow.com.
Mm-hmm. And okay. I have everything in there. I have the 12 commandments for all beauty professionals. Thou shalt not put others before thyself. And that includes clients.
Hold on, pause. I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but it's so good. I want to just make sure that we're organizing it. So one, our listeners can digest it properly as they're driving down the street listening. And two, to make sure that I ask all the right questions. So should we just go through the 12 commandments right now?
We can go through the 12 commandments.
Let's go through the 12 commandments, and then we'll talk about the book.
I will pull them up please. For you.
Right, listeners? I hear them cheering behind me.
Oh my God.
Have her talk about the 12 commandments.
The thing about it is I always like to make innovative because, again, myself being a student, I was like, I always want to make things interesting. I always wanted to make things like, okay, it has to get my attention when I'm doing, when I'm learning. So I said, what can I do that's innovative for the average learner? And I came up with the 12 commandments. And the number one is, I'm going to pull it up, is thou shalt prioritize thy peace. Always put your mental wellness or well-being first. Protect your peace at all cost. Okay? And number two is thou shalt set boundaries like a boss. Mm-hmm. Say no when necessary and don't feel guilty about it. That's right. Priorities are your best friend. Number three, thou shalt own thy worth. And I said that one particularly is because sometimes clients will come in because it's an inflation and they say, oh my God, it's just so high, the prices. And, we say, well, I can kind of, look at, I can take some off or what? No. What happens is if we look at mental health, that can even go into people-pleasing behavior. And that satisfaction, you say, well, I'll take some off. Well, that will continue. And at the end of the day, when we say we know thy worth, be true to self, this is my price. And if they have an issue with it, then that's just not your client. Because when we're talking about pricing, it's much more than just offering a service. Sometimes it goes beyond the actual service. Sometimes it goes at the root of who we are. And we don't bargain when it comes to who we are. Eric.
Look at that. That's the listeners. They like what you're saying, Zelina. Okay, you can't say that enough. All right, keep going.
Okay, and then the other one is thou shalt stay gracious under pressure, because pressure will happen. Pressure is bound to happen, but there's beauty in pressure, because we all know when we look at science that diamonds are literally designed under pressure. Mm-hmm. So we know the mechanisms of pressure. And I said that stay cool and composed. So when they come in with the pressure, just know that we go through pressure. We don't freeze up. We go through pressure.
Pressure is a privilege.
It is
Someone
a privilege.
Much better than I said that one time. I would know their name if I was smarter, but I'm not, so I don't remember their name. But they said pressure is a privilege, and this is somebody who's done great high profile things and everything. And it's so, and when he said that, I thought, oh my God, that's so amazing, because if you put yourself in certain situations where you're accomplishing things, you're being productive, and pressure is just part of it. If there is no pressure, you're sitting at home on the couch not doing anything.
Right. What's the point, right?
Right.
What's the point? People that don't face pressure are not doing great things. They're not doing great things, and that what separates us from the rest. People that don't experience pressure are not doing great things.
Right.
And you want to experience pressure because you're doing great things. You're making the life that you've always dreamed for or dreamed of. So you're right about that, Eric. You look at you. You're on it.
I'm trying to add things here to the conversation.
And this is the one that everyone lives for in the beauty industry. Stylists, my God. Thou shall take breaks. Oh, my God.
What's a break?
This is the one, right here.
Yeah, this is the one, right? I mean, they've gone, it's 9 hours in, they haven't eaten anything. Yeah.
And it says, rest is just as important as the hustle. Oh, my God, please. Because we know in the long run, we know the effects of it. We know. We must prioritize the breaks. Don't forget to take time for yourself. This is my favorite one because this is what my platform is all about, this word. And I live for it. And if I love pain, not just pain or artwork, and wasn't scared of needles, I would get it tattooed, like literally. And it says, thou shalt live unapologetically, period. Thou shalt live unapologetically. And when I say unapologetically, I mean doing it your way, without regret, without the question of anyone else, doing it your way and not giving up about nothing. Fill in the blanks. I'm going to be professional, okay? You catch that, all right? Unapologetically, not concerned of what no one else thinks. If you like it, I love it. That word in itself is powerful, because sometimes in life we get caught up in what the others may think, especially, and that's sometimes learned in childhood. And I always talk about that as a therapist. Sometimes our foundation and our psychodynamic and how we perceive the world, our beliefs and our values and morals may be tainted due to our childhood upbringing and how we view others. And you will carry those same beliefs into adulthood. And you may not believe the person that you are today is literally the epitome of your upbringing and the childhood that you had. And you may say, well, what does this have to do with my business and me being a professional? It has everything to do with it. It has everything to do with it, because the beliefs that you were raised on is the person you are, and the person that you are is operating the business that you're walking in every day. And if you grew up in a home environment and you lived off of survival and scarcity mindset, how do you expect to become a millionaire with a scarcity mindset? Now, you make that make sense for me. I'll wait.
I won't.
Mental health is in every aspect of our lives. People say when I get it, when I get the nice car, when I get the nice home, how can we get it with old beliefs and old truths? How? Something has to change. They say insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. If any way you've not done the work and unpacked the baggage that you've always carried around, there's no way. The work must be done. And you can't run from it and you can't hide it. You have to unpack the bags, because it'll find a way to seep out even with you wearing the invisible mask. See, COVID had us wearing those masks. Some of us still haven't taken off those invisible masks, but that's another podcast, Erica, and we're going to wait on that one. Okay. But anyway,
right.
Let me go ahead and
Next
finish. Let me go back to the list. And then the other is, thou shalt let go of what no longer serves them. If that's the old conditioner that you know is expired and you trying to get the last little bit out because you paid for and it was expensive, no, we're going to go ahead. And that's not just that. That means people, places, and things. We're going to let go of the things that is no longer serving purpose in our lives. Release toxic relationships, clients.
Yeah. Clients. Yeah.
Clients.
Yeah.
You know they're no good for your health and your mental health. It's okay to part ways. And I say all this in the book, How to Do It Professionally. It's no sense in depriving yourself from happiness because it will drain you. It will drain you from the joy of enjoying a profession that you once loved by servicing a client that time has expired. People come in your life for seasons. Miss Jane has been coming every year for 5 and 6 years for a press and curl, and her energy is just not there. And I don't like to do press and curls anymore. Refer her to someone else. Say, Miss Jane, I just don't do press and curls anymore. Or, I think I found someone else for you to do. It's okay. It's okay. It's a way
Jane,
to
you
do.
drive me nuts with your negative energy. You drag me down to
Sincerely.
the ground. Yeah, please go do that with somebody else.
Signed sincerely, Eric, learning a different way of life.
That's right, maintaining my
wish you the
value
best.
and my boundaries and all the other things that I need to do.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm choosing me. I'm picking me today, Miss Jane. That's all in doing the work. Okay. And the last one is, thou shalt celebrate small wins. We wait for the big ones, but we don't celebrate the small ones. And society teaches us go, go, go. And we wait for the big finale. And I always say this, we wait for we know the starting and we know the end, and we wait for the grand finale at the end. But it's in the middle, the Picasso is being painted.
Yeah, that's right.
It's in the middle. We forget to celebrate those little milestones like, oh my God. And I'm saying this as a therapist and as a human being because I am guilty of this. Like, whoa, who would have known this? I would be speaking on a podcast to hair professionals. Like, wait a minute, me? Some real top gurus. Like, that is a win for me. Y'all don't have any idea. And I am honored to be speaking with y'all. Y'all have made my life to step out of a comfort zone and not just talk to therapists and to talk to people and spread the wealth. That is a win. So to celebrate the small wins, and it says every victory counts. Everyone. If you got the color right after screwing up all those bottles, I know. If you got it right, celebrate the win, y'all.
Yeah.
I know. You finally got the honey blonde that you eat, number 33551, whatever. Eric, you know exactly. You got it right. Celebrate the small wins. Acknowledge and celebrate your progress. And then it says, thou shalt release what no longer serves, and thou shalt thrive and not survive. And that goes back to, we're just doing just enough to stay afloat. I hear this a lot with people. I'm doing just enough. I'm just trying to stay afloat. And we say that religiously. Life is life, and I say it. And before you know it, you'll start living in that. When they say manifest, it's really a psychological mindset. What is it that you're trying to accomplish? What is it that you're trying to achieve? Start speaking those things. Start saying it. Really become delusional. I'm telling y'all what's working. And they're taking it in the spiritual world and they're doing it. They're doing it and you're wondering like, my God, how did you get that Porsche? I already thought I was driving it with a Honda. I took the logo and printed it up off the internet and put it over the Honda logo in my car. Yes, it's really psychological perspectives. And Carl Jung says it best. Some of your greatest psychologists says it best, okay? So that is the 10 commandments for the beauty professionals, hairstylists, of self-care, gurus, and I hope you enjoyed that.
Thank you very much. That was fantastic. It's 12 though, right? I think you said 12.
It's 10, but I think I added the last 2 just like with the stars at the bottom or whatever, but it's 10 and I don't know why I added the 2 because I was just like, oh no, I'm missing 2. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. They're all amazing. Okay, so the book. Are these in the book?
These are in the book. 154 pages, and one particular chapter I talk about. You said, "What's the key?" One of the chapters that people would love is that how do I turn this off when I leave the shop?
Sure.
And one of those is I talk about how to turn it off, especially with your partners, because when you get home, your partners are like, listen, I know Kathy really bothered you today at the shampoo bowl. You know, I get it. I understand you waste color all over the floor, and she didn't want to help you. She didn't want to help you clean it up, and I get it. Yeah. And they didn't tip you, and you had color in it, and she had floor-length hair. I get it. Right. But after a while, they start hearing womp, womp, womp off of the Charlie Brown. They do. Right. And then you're mad. Then you get mad, Eric, because you feel that you're getting ignored. And then the whole house, you have silent treatment tonight. Mm-hmm. And then they're pissed because what? They feel like you've said it 10 times and now the whole house is mad. So
that's
in
right.
the book,
and of course, your partner has his own problems. His partner's boss is coming down on him, and he's got to work on Saturday, and he's got this problem and that problem. And so are we going to spend, our 3 hours at night together complaining about our problems?
And wake back up and do it in the morning. My God, what a life, right? So
so what do you do?
It's 5 tips in there. I talk about what therapists do, the debriefing method, how you cut it off in the car. One thing my mom used to do, getting off every day, and I know y'all do it, and you don't even know you're doing therapy, debriefing, is I would watch her every day sit in the car in the driveway for like 10, 20 minutes. When she get home, I'm like, what are you doing? Come in the house. We're ready for you to come in. And I would watch her and I would run out to the car like, Mom, come in. She would say, just give me a minute. Just give me a minute. And now that I'm an adult, I sit in the car before I come in the house. And I even asked my own therapist at the time, what was that? She said she's recollecting her thoughts before she goes and put on another hat. And she said, Zelina, I want you to start doing that. She said, I want you to gather your thoughts, literally gather your thoughts from that day, process it. And at that time, she said, I want you to talk to yourself. Like if you were in front of yourself, process the day. Process the day as if you were in front of yourself. Okay, Kathy did not help me at the shampoo bowl. Zelina, it is okay that Kathy did not help you at the shampoo bowl. How do you feel? I'm pissed she didn't help me yet. Are you okay about it now? Yes, I'm okay. Let's let it go. Woosah. We're done with that. Eric did not help me with the shampoo as well. And he saw all of the color and she knew she had. Okay, how do you feel about it? I'm mad about it. Are you okay now? Yes. Literally going through. Because it's all psychological. It's all psychological. We do that every day. You're training your brain because our routines are routines. Our brain is routine. They said it takes 21 days to break a habit. Everything is routine. If you start doing something simple like that every day before you go into your home, it will minimize the conflict of going into the home, giving all of that to your partner and having 3 hours of hell and the conflict going on and having silent treatments and having displaced aggression has nothing to do with him or her. That
Yeah.
was Kathy. Kathy didn't help you with the shampoo bowl.
I
Not
know.
him.
Sometimes we want our partner to know the anguish that we've gone through. We want the credit for having gone through the difficulty, and we want our partners to believe that what we do is difficult. So we,
I'll help you with
they
that
give us
one.
that credit. And I think I know some people who do this. My wife, thankfully, does not do this. She used to go through all the little things that happen during the day, good and bad. But I know some of my guy friends, their wives tend to do this. I don't even see it.
Oh, yeah.
And, because they feel like their husbands aren't giving them the credit that they deserve. And often, in a few times when a guy says something to me and opening up an opportunity for me to say something, I'm like, give her the goddamn credit so she doesn't feel like she needs to put you through the anguish every day. For the love of God, just give her the credit and then move on.
And we're
they're
done.
like, well, I don't want to give her the credit because, then she's going to keep, it's like
simple.
this kind of thing.
It's simple. And you know how do you do that? Listen, let me tell you, all of the people that's listening, especially the guys, let me tell you, therapy 101. This is the key to your problems. If you want peace, I'm going to give you the goal, and it's in the book. It says, this is what I want you to do. Before you start talking and she goes and she starts rambling, you say, can I ask you one question? Do you want me to listen, or are you listening for advice? Are we venting? Are we venting? Because that's going to clear it up right there. And she's going to look at you like,
no, she's going to be mad that you're asking. She's going to be mad that you're asking because
she's going to think about it, though. She's going to think about it. She's going to think about it. She's going to think about it.
You're going to stop her in her tracks.
It's going to stop her in her tracks. And then she's going to think about it, and she's going to go to her room and be like, wow, well, what the hell am I asking for? It's the reverse psychology play.
Yeah, that's funny.
And in that, it's going to allow her to say, okay, if I'm venting, he gets to be quiet. It gives him free reign because she's venting. Venting is, I don't want any advice. Because if he says, well, honey, I just want you to listen. Venting is, I give no advice. Well, honey, I want you to give me advice. Now I'm responsible to give you some advice or feedback because we've set it clear intentions before she starts rambling. Before she's just rambling. I don't know what she wants. I don't know if she wants a Snicker. I don't know if she wants a banana. I don't know if she wants advice. Now we have intention. Now we have a guideline now. Are we venting or do we have advice? It's only two. It's like kids now. It's only
right. If she says venting, does the guy have to listen?
Yes, he has to listen. But it gives him, he just listens now. Because guess what? When she finishes, she's going to say, oh my God, I just thank you for hearing me out. She's going to know now. You let her know. It acknowledges the fact that you listen.
Yes. And you care.
And that's all she needs is the listening.
Yes.
Now advice, it's okay. Now she's going to wait and say, so what do you think about that? At first, it was free reins. You didn't know where she was going with it. My God. I can't wait till this podcast comes out and they get the comments. Because I'm so serious.
The downside of podcasts is there's nowhere for people to comment. Right. That's the worst part. We throw out all this great stuff. And then nobody, there's nothing coming back. It's not like an Instagram post.
I wish. But it's really a technique that we use for couples therapy to help minimize and to increase healthy communication. Venting versus advice when they first start, because it'll be that's
huge.
Confusing. Yeah,
that's huge. Wow. Okay. Before we wrap up, any other last? First of all, the book. The book is a must get. Come on. Has there ever been anything more obvious in the 7 years of this podcast? But is there one more tidbit that you can give the listeners before we wrap it up? The
best tidbit that I would say is to continue inspiring. And I literally, to understand that self-care is the epitome of what you all do. And I'll say that again. And I know you weren't trained for this. And I just want you to say, from a licensed therapist, they will come to you because the world has conditioned them to say, getting my hair done, getting my nails done, getting pampered is self-care. And I'm so sorry that you've signed up for this job not knowing, but I don't think there's no one better qualified for the job to do so. And as the times progress, and hopefully as the times progress, it will be less in terms of mental health stigma. They will go to therapy, and you will be the ones to say, hey, I think it's time for you to go to therapy. And you'll be able to protect your boundaries. So
I love that little self-affirmation in there. I think it's, it reminds the listeners how important it is what they do every day, not just getting the colors right, but in providing some, whether it's an emotional receptacle or some sort of support in some way, even if it's just listening. It's so important what our industry offers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's amazing.
I thank you. The mental health world, thank you. Because again, we understand. I've brought it to their attention everywhere I go. Listen, y'all are therapists if you don't even know it or not, because they run to you all first. Before we're the last on the totem pole, if you believe it or not. They come to us when life is literally depleted.
Too late. Well, maybe not too late, but much later than they should have. Yeah. No
and they
doubt.
come, and they go to you first, and they don't even know. And I talk about that again, the trauma dumping. We identify it. it. You know exactly what it is. It's trauma dumping, and you'll know what to look for when you hear it. And we're training the beauty professionals. Oh, no. I know. And you'll be able to say, I think it's time for you, Miss Jane, to probably consult with a therapist instead of consistently taking it. And that's for you to empower yourself and have the conversation. And that's my goal, to train beauty professionals, stylists, to say, it is time for you to go and get some help. So you don't have to keep carrying that as a stylist for yourself.
Sure.
That's too heavy. Yeah.
I have a friend who's a great therapist, and she might be great. She might help you a lot.
Yes.
Blah, 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 blah. I mean, there is a stigma around, you have a problem and you need to go see a professional. That's one thing. You could say it in a different way depending on the situation. But I mean, Zelina, you guys are out there. Therapists are out there to help people. Yeah. And the percentage of people who would benefit from talking to somebody like you versus the percentage of people who actually go and talk to people like you is just that difference is too big. Yes. There's so many more people who should be going and seeking therapy. So I thank you so much for focusing on our industry. First of all, for learning the things that you've learned, from getting it from your mom, and her spirit lives on in you every day. I mean, I don't need to talk to you for very long to see that. And you've put the energy and your intelligence and time into learning such a great tool kit of things that are so valuable to so many people. And so I appreciate all that, and for concentrating on our industry and trying to help those who need it.
Yes. Thank you so much, Eric. And I'll send you the copy. I want your feedback.
Thank you. I'm excited to read. I would really appreciate that. I'll give you my address. But before we go, I want to talk about I want to mention your website one more time. What is it?
It is www.healingexperiencenow.com. And I'm on social media. Oh my goodness. Okay. It is healingexperiencenow.com. Not .com, perfect. I'm sorry. Healing Experience Now on TikTok and Instagram. That's where I am most of the time.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing today.
Thank you.